Now, one thing I'm really grateful for over the lockdown is a warm house with a fire on every night and a hot meal at the end of a hard-working shift talking to you. I'm lucky my 22-year-old sister and current flatty, Elle Perriam, has been literally never home this long in the past 12 months with her role as a rep for animal identification company All Flex. And now she's working from home, baking, running the ship, enjoying the pace, and joins us now. Ellie, now, are those boys behaving?
Yep, the fire's on, Sarah, and yeah, the tea's on. So you'll be home to a goodie soon.
What about those bloody dogs? Have they run away again today?
No, Dolly only got let out for 10 minutes because I don't trust her anymore.
No, she's
No,
getting
she's
into
been
that
going.
cocky teenager stage, my miniature schnauzer, and taking off with Tilly, the black cocker spaniel of Ellie's puppy. Now, interesting note before we get into Will to Live and taking care of your sanity over this time, I've learned lots about All Flex. They are not just your standard ear tags and your sheep. Ellie, just what tell us about like the scale that All Flex go across all sorts of animal identification.
Yeah, so a pretty fun fact is All Flex actually started in New Zealand with just a farmer and a jeweler got together. They actually just were making bracelets with girls' names on them, and then they said, "Oh, well, we should put these in animals' ears," and that's how the brass tag sort of came around. So they're the sort of longest standing, and now they're global. But when I first started, I didn't quite realize that we do pets, microchips, all the kiwis, takaki, flightless bats, and just and penguins and all sorts of things. Not just I just thought it was just farm animals. And then Steve also enlightened me that we did the All Blacks bag tags last year. So yeah, no, All Flex is it's pretty well known, and it's great to be involved in a company that is so diverse.
So you've been at home for a wee while and been flat out on the road beforehand. What is some of the work that you're doing at All Flex that's really essential at the moment?
Just keeping our existing customers happy, really, and just checking up and seeing how everyone is going and well-being, and for me, because I'm just quite new still, only 6 months in, it's a good time to catch up and go back to basics and really learn what you need to and do a lot of trainings. It's quite so we are considered an essential service, so our factory is going. We have half the amount of staff, but we're doing all we can to get orders out just as quickly, and taking really extra caution and cleaning down after all the shifts. So it's really, and mostly we are essential because of the biosecurity of the country.
Now, we've got you on the show, not to talk about All Flex, but I think it's just important to touch base to realise that people wear lots of hats in the rural sector. It's just what we are so good at. But it's particularly to bring Ali on around Will to Live and the rural mental health work that she's been doing over the last couple of years. Will to Live is a mental health charity focusing on the vulnerabilities and pressures of our friends and family in the rural sector. And we took to the road last year to hold 17 events that were brutally honest, but humorous, I would say, as well, with the aim to bring the tools to dealing with your well-being to the table after the great work around awareness that the likes of JK and Doug Avery had done before us. Ellie, what type of work have you been doing since the tour, and particularly the importance of what you've been doing on social media?
Yeah, so Will to Live was really like the idea of starting something up so people could get help while they're isolated, and have the tools and get the education on how to help themselves when they don't have service and they can't ring someone. So quite prevalent at this time. So since the tour kind of ended, I've tried to be making heaps of new content on just anything to do with health and well-being, and not always just mental health, like your physical health as well. After work, I'm writing blogs on sleep, nutrition, stress, and just kind of putting them out there each day. So, and we are going to spend, so a lot of people spend more time on their phones and devices now more than ever. So it's really important that we use social media a lot now. So it's getting out there and people know what to do when they're having bad days.
Obviously, I have a behind the scenes look at how you operate, and it is actually quite sad, some of the stories that you get sent into your inbox at Will to Live, and a lot of the posts that you write are generated from a lot of these messages, because obviously if one person's asking, then there's 100 others wondering the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. All my posts are motivated from a question that I've received in my personal inbox or the Will to Live inbox. So if someone's stressed out or has a partner that isn't coping, I write a pretty big chapter reply, and then I go, oh, probably more people need to see that. So then I just sort of copy and paste it and reword it a bit, and put it out there publicly, because there's more than one person struggling with this issue, so you might as well, everyone can see it.
What are some of those tips? I mean, I said that in the the introduction, that you're 22 years old, to have created this amount of wisdom. You know, where are you sourcing this sort of information to get it out there? It's obviously not a world of life experience, being with your age, to be able to give these tips over to people.
I personally think my empathy and wanting to help people and relate has come from my experiences and my traumas. And I did write a lot when I was experiencing heaps of trauma, sadness, grief, and anger. So I can relate to people in those feelings, so they don't feel so alone. So every time I reply to someone, I'll always try and make them feel like this is a human experience. You're not weird. You're not alone. We'll get you through it. So so a bit has come from experience, but I'm personally really passionate about health, in particular natural and holistic health. So really deepening and finding the root cause of what the issue is and why you're feeling the way you are, and then kind of opening up pages and making action plans to get yourself better. And I just and I've also kind of stopped calling myself a mental health advocate, and really more of a holistic health advocate, because it was the Western medical system, which is still relatively new, that made these mental health and physical health into two different categories, where the mind and body are also connected, that we really need to treat them as one. So whatever you're eating or exercising, it is going to affect what's happening in your brain and what's upstairs. So I suppose I get a lot of my resources just from books. I read a lot. I've got a Gaia account that's like a Netflix, but it's all about health and well-being. If you're into that, I highly recommend. Just talking to people. My sister Kate, natural health practitioner, she educates me a lot. So just really finding the resources, and I find them for free everywhere. So, yeah.
What are finally some of the tips that you would say if people are feeling quite trapped and isolated at the moment, probably in not an ideal situation, and they can't get away because they're in lockdown? What would you suggest that people do to get through?
Yeah, so farmers would already consider themselves isolated, but it's a different sort of isolation. We can't sort of go and have our release and do the favourite things we do in the weekends and go see our mates at the pub. So it's about sort of being grateful for what you do have. So every night before I go to sleep, I rattle off 3 things that I'm grateful for. And scientifically, it does have a really positive effect on your mental health, because we can focus a heap on what we've lost and what we can't go to. So just kind of balancing it out and saying them out loud physically, so it really sinks in. Um, so yeah, one big thing is, if you're kind of dealing with a lot of anxiety, or you're starting to get really tense in your emotions, is learning to diaphragmatically breathe. So meditate. When you're lying in bed in the mornings or at night, put your hand on your stomach and feel it go up and down. Do 10 really long breaths. Insight Timer app is one that I use, and you can do 5-minute meditations. It doesn't take long, and it completely calms your whole nervous system. And I highly recommend it because it's little 10-second things that you can do, and it'll change your whole biochemistry, really. A second one would be identify your emotions over this time. So a way that you can do it is just start to record them, and try and focus on the facts. So what does my body feel when I see COVID-19 in bold letters on the news? What behaviors am I doing? What emotions are at the front of my mind, and what's in the background? So, for example, it might be I feel tension in my body. I'm yelling at people more often. The emotion in the front is anger, and the emotion in the back is fear. So it's really just being really self-aware during this time. And when you knuckle it down, you know why you're acting the way you do. That's the start of healing yourself. Another good one would be exercise. And I know if you're already farming, then your job already comes with this perk. But maybe try a different one when you get home, like just having a good stretch or a yoga. You can find everything on free. I go on YouTube, and they're all for free. And just nutrition. So is a biggie. It's a real biggie. So if you're already experiencing anxiety and stress, I would highly recommend reducing the caffeine intake in your body, because when you're anxious and stressed, your adrenaline levels are really high already, and caffeine produces adrenaline in your body. And with so much adrenaline and not being able to relax and rest, you won't be able to you have a burnout. So that's just a few things, really. And limit your media intake. I deleted all my apps apart from Messenger. So that's how I sort of
And
get through.
you limit COVID-19 at home. We've got a COVID-19 curfew. You're not allowed to talk about anything related to it after a certain time at night. That's a goodie that Ellie's implemented in our house. And in terms of things to be grateful for, I saw Ellie's list the other day, and it said that Sarah taught me how to iron. So, I mean, at least I am passing on some of my wisdom, because, of course, she's got all that at such a young age.
This is Sarah's Country.